Hello, we're now live. We're the group The Innovators, and we're going to discuss 4 different Hangout tools that you can use in a classroom. So to start out, I'm going to go over Rubastar, and it's a website that teachers can use to create their own rubrics. And with this, there's over 1,000 different rubrics that are already created. There's a lot of different content areas that you can choose rubrics that are already made in. So there's math and there's art. We have music rubrics. We have reading rubrics down here. They even have science ones. So we'll just click on a random one. So with this, you can click on an already made rubric, and you can just give yourself a name for the rubric. You can just fill out the information over here. So if it's for a certain student, you can put their name, or you don't have to put any name in there. And it gives you different. So here, this one gives you 4 different scales that you can grade something with. You don't have to do a 4-point scale. If you want, you can do a 3-point scale or a 2-point scale. And then you have the categories right here. So since these rubrics are already made and customizable, they already have different areas that you would want to assess with the student. So like right here, we could do their voice. And so in their project that they do, here's their voice category, and then it already adds information in there that they think would be good for a rubric. Now, you don't have to keep the information they put in there. You can change it if you want. You don't have to. So, like, for instance, they have that the student's voice was at a 70 to 84%, or here it was 85 to 95. So if you wanted, you could just change the 70 and 84, and maybe you could do, like, 50 here, and then you can edit it to 75. So it's nice that you already have the information in there, but you can customize it to something that would work with you. And you don't have to use their actual name for the category. So where this says voice consistency, if we didn't want to do the voice consistency, we could just type in a name right here on the toolbar, and so it would override the name they gave you, and it would override to what I put in there to the voice. Now, when using the Rubastar website, they give you a 40-minute time limit that you have to complete your rubric in. So if you do not have time, the only obstacle that you might come across is if you don't have a full 40-minute time frame and you think that you're going to be interrupted or have something else to do, then you shouldn't be then you should wait till you can use it. Now, if you want to start one and you don't have time to finish it, then you can always go down to the bottom and you submit your work. With this being a free website for everyone to use, they like taking note of where people live just to see who's using it around the world. Right. And since I don't have everything typed in, okay, so you're going to have to type your information in, sorry. But at least I'm showing you. I'll just click a few more options. But it's just nice because it has all these categories that are already in there that they come up with that they think would be a good way to grade a student in the rubric. So you can submit it, and the rubric pops up over here. And so you can either print it, and so you'll be able to just hand out the rubrics to the students individually, or you can download it on your computer and then you can just access it at another time. If you aren't happy with the rubric now, at least it's saved into your work, so you can access it at another time and you can modify the rubric. Once you save the rubric, it's going to be saved under your username. Something that's great about this website is the fact that it takes a lot of time away from the teachers having to make their rubrics completely from scratch, which sometimes could take more than an hour or something to do, where the Rubistar, the content is already there, and so you don't even have to customize it. If you like the content they have in the boxes, then you can just keep it. And with Rubistar, you are able to edit the category names, and then you can edit the amount of columns that it has again. And the only thing, though, that, like I was saying, is that you might run into when using this website is just make sure that you have enough time. Otherwise, it's going to clear your screen and everything's going to disappear, so you'll lose it all. What's nice, though, it does give you a 15-minute reminder when you're at the 15-minute mark to let you know that you only have 15 minutes left, that you should save your work, or that you should submit your work. That's how you can use the Rubistar. Do you guys have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I think that this is really useful. It's like a template, which is really awesome, and it's just helpful if you're, because we already have a lot of work that we have to do, so this is just awesome to have something that can set that up for you, at least get you started and has the layout.
Yeah.
Because that's really the hard part of a rubric is the actual layout, and it's makes it really convenient to just have to input the information.
Right, so you're focusing on what you need to focus on, which is the content of the rubric, and not actually how can I make this so people can understand what I'm trying to say. It has it there for you, so all you need to worry about is what exactly you want to put in there.
Something else is nice, though, for like new teachers like us, where we might not necessarily know certain different categories or descriptions that we should put. It's nice that it already gives us that information too, so we don't have to come up with it ourselves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I'm going to be talking about the website ThinkPort. This website is it's a website that provides information and resources for educators, but not only with educators, there's also portions of it that is for family and community, so parents and guardians. There's a lot of information on here. When you're looking at the home page, the first thing you'll realize is that there is this search bar, so you can search for information if you're looking for something specific, and there is also an advanced search bar as well. You can create a register if you'd like to, but you don't have to use the information. You can still use the website just fine without it. Also, looking on the homepage, they have this Stay Connected option, which you can sign up for their newsletter, which would email it to you, or their Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest. There's also an option that has announcements, and then below that is where the tweets are. If you go up to the top, though, there's 4 tabs at the top. The first one is the Think K-12 Classroom, which that tab itself has so much information and resources underneath it. It's awesome. And then there's the Think Career tab, the Think Early Childhood tab, and the Think Family and Community tab. So we're going to start with the Think K-12 Classroom. You click on this and there's sub-tabs underneath, so they are the Enviro Health Connection, so we'll click on that first. This is awesome because health is, as we know, is not just a subject, has its own area during the day, so it gives you options and ways to put it in, incorporate it through lesson plans into your everyday classroom. There's also general resources and just has information about Enviro Health Connections and environmental health in general. There's also curriculum resources, and there's an option to contact the people who lead this project. Now you'll notice once you click on a sub-tab, there is this option over here for ThinkPort Tools, and there's the My Calendar where you can add in, events or things that you have going on, due dates, such and such, and then there's the My Website, so you can create your own web page. There's the Lesson Builder option, so you can build lessons and use that as a template to build lessons. There's a Student Activity Builder, which is similar to the Lesson Builder, but it's a little bit different in the aspect that it's not as in-depth. And then there's the Project Builder, which is a little bit more in-depth than the Lesson Builder. So if we go back to this and we go to the interactive media, this is an awesome area because it has content that includes stories and maps, games, timelines, and audio. And what I found really interesting about this portion is there's not only, specific subjects that you can focus on, but there was a lot of information on with Maryland related things. Like this one is Welcome to Bayville. This is something on the Chesapeake Bay. There is the Exploring Maryland Roots interactive media, the Edgar Allan Poe, the Knowing Poe media. There's the Pathways to Freedom, so this is the history of Maryland and the Underground Railroad. There's Bay Trippers, which is also about the Chesapeake Bay. And then there's the story of Anne Arundel County, so this talks about Anne Arundel County and all the history. And then there's the Frederick County, A Crossroads of History. So it's just awesome that they give that option to really go into Maryland history and things like that. If you go to the interactive tools, this has a couple different things that you can use, like creating your own museum or a timeline builder. There's a lot of information underneath this one as well. If you go to lessons, this is really helpful because these are ThinkPort's student activities, lesson plans, and projects. They're already aligned to state and national standards and infused with technology, so it's really helpful and assistive in that sense that they're already aligned to this curriculum standards. And the fact that they incorporate technology, as we know, that needs to be a focus for us as teachers. If you go to the math area, this is a bunch of interactives and tools, different things like that, that can really help integrate technology into your math lessons. If you go to the online clips area, this is short videos just to add into activities or lessons, and there's specific subjects that they're focused on. If you go to the reading strategies area, this is really helpful because I know that I've personally, been able to see in my placement, and I know that a lot of teachers deal with, kids that struggle to read and how to get them, motivated to read and to do a little bit better. And there's just a lot of information that can help with this. There's all these other different sub-tabs over here. If you go to, they have this option for the STEM Collaborative and the STEM, which I think is awesome because I know that is newly being incorporated into our curriculum. And because it is a newer topic, it can be a little bit more difficult to figure out how you want to integrate that into your lessons or create lessons for it. So there's a lot of information there. And then if you go to the English Language Arts and Disciplinary Literacy, this is basically developed to support the Common Core standards for transdisciplinary approach to classroom practices. So there's content areas with English Language Arts, Science, and Social Studies. And these are also just videos or interactives that you can use. If you go to the Think Career portion, this is more so for educators themselves. So this area has the career calendar, which is awesome. So the career calendar is kind of set up by the Maryland State Department of Education, and it gives information about professional development opportunities in all 24 school districts in our state. So if you know of a professional development opportunity or you're interested in one, you can save it to your calendar and it emails you a reminder. If you want to submit something to the calendar event, you can do that as well, which is nice. If you go to the certification tab, this basically tells you how to obtain your certification and everything that you have to do to apply for a Maryland certificate. And this is basically the qualifications and the training that's required by the Maryland State Department of Education. If you go to course enrollment, this gives you different courses that you need for different credits and courses for early childhood clock hours. If you go to the new teacher support, I thought that this was really awesome that they have this. They have these three little tabs, so classroom management, back to school night, and starting the new year. Basically, it's just tips and guidance from other Maryland Teachers of the Years to help you, work your way through that first couple of years, because it can be really difficult when you're, adjusting. And it also has over the past several years, the Teachers of the Year for Maryland. And then down here it has the actual Maryland Department of Education website. You go to the Think Early Childhood. This one I didn't focus as much on, but One thing that I did look at that I thought would be really helpful is the using technology portion, because I know that integrating technology and media into lessons can be difficult, but it can even be more difficult with early childhood, so it helps with that. And then it also has, learning activities, news and announcements. There's just a lot of information under this tab as well. You go to the Think Family and Community. This is something that parents and caretakers and guardians can use. So the first thing I'm going to go to is the community calendar. This basically has things that are going on around you, and you can add things in, or you can also, like before with the career calendar, you can add that to your calendar and have them email you a reminder about it. Another tab that I thought was awesome was the education at home. So it's, just gives you ways to take what your children are learning at school and kind of just extend that. There's online field trips, which is awesome, and there's a lot of just parenting links, so things that if you're a new parent or you're just a parent in general trying to find websites or pages that can really help you, they have that option, and there's the categories right there. One thing that is really interesting too is that they have a parents newsletter as well as their typical e-newsletter. So they have something specifically for parents. And this tab, the classroom website. So if you are a teacher, you can set up your own your own membership, and you can put the classroom websites that you are using in your class, and you can have your parents of your students use them. So how do I end the screen share? I don't know.
Wow.
It should say at the top, end screen share.
Oh, it's not saying it, but anyways, there's just a lot of information on that site in itself. It's so resourceful, and there's lesson plans and activities. One thing that you could use, the critical use of the tool, is that it can be used in many ways in the classroom, from helping integrate technology into lessons through interactive sites to improving reading skills, from the help from the reading strategies portion. You can basically, it's really interactive, it's technology driven, you can use it for books on the smart board, it's so technology driven. So I just thought that was really awesome that there's all those interactives and things like that you can do. I'm trying to end this screen share. It's not letting me.
Wow, that's really interesting, Tricia. It's unbelievable. It's so extensive. My God, I mean.
Yeah.
That's really. How long
there's a lot of information on there.
Yeah, a lot of information. That's really impressive. Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you have a hard time navigating that website?
It took me a while.
There's so much on there.
Yeah, there is a lot on there. It took me about an hour and a half to kind of go through everything, because there is just so much information on it, but it's just so useful, especially when you're first getting into your first couple years of teaching. I just think it's so useful, and I was really impressed by that website.
That is so impressive. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna really take note of that one specifically now that I have such an in-depth look at that. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Well,
there's a lot of information there.
Wow.
When you were going over a few different things, I was like, oh, that's something I can add on my Diego entry when you went
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it on my Diego entry because I was like, this is insane, the amount of information, and the resources, the interactives they have and the videos, it literally just covers everything under the sun.
Holy smokes.
I can't believe I've never even heard about it.
I know, I couldn't believe it either, especially with all the things with Maryland and
yeah,
exactly.
I thought that was cool too.
My father's the superintendent over in Dorchester County, and I'm telling you, I'm going to let him know specifically about that website, because that is just so impressive. That's unbelievable.
Right. Is it just for Maryland schools?
Yeah, it's solely for Maryland educators for the most part. I mean, I'm sure you could use the interactives and things like that in the short videos, all the tools on there, other than the ones that are directed more so with Maryland. The only thing is that the lessons and stuff, they're all aligned with our state standards. I mean, also national standards, but they're more so aligned with our state since it's for Maryland. But it's definitely very useful.
Unbelievable.
Those 4 tools that were on the side, are those something that are saved where it said you can build your websites, build your lessons? Does that all get saved together, or are those individual websites that you use to create those?
It's if you create a membership with the site, you can basically save that stuff all on your membership, like under your membership, basically. So it's like if you were to have the membership, you could use those tools on the side, and they would save underneath it.
Do you have to pay for
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name's Laura Wagner, and I'm talking about the tool Crafty Extensions. And it is not nearly as extensive, but it could be for sure useful, I believe. Can you guys see it at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. It's simple extensions, big impact. And basically they're Chrome extensions, which are small software programs that are meant to personalize your browsing. So there's actually three main ones: Crafty Level, Crafty Writes, and Crafty Text. And if you scroll down and give you some more information here, Crafty Level has to do with the Flesch-Kincaid reading level, which is a commonly used and pretty reliable tool, and it's widely used and been trusted for it's a testing formula to see the readability is what they call it of a text. And so with this tool, it would automatically display up here in the right hand corner the Flesch-Kincaid level. And so obviously that's going to be very useful for wait a minute. That's going to be very useful for for determining the reading level of any text. And the only issue with that is the Crafty level is fairly new. So it does have some bugs, but they're working on improving that with through developing it further. The second one is the Crafty Writes, which I actually thought was probably the most useful one. And what this does is it forces image searches to only return results available for reuse. So available for reuse would mean that they're free to share. This tool is especially useful to prevent students from using copywritten materials because as we know, some of them are not necessarily cognizant of what's copywritten, and especially the younger kids. That way, it's just sort of automatically done for them. But there is sort of a cachet, a little side note that there's no guarantee that the copywritten material will not still appear sometimes. So it's very, very important to still double check that information. And then the last one is the Crafty Text. This is a simple extension, and what it does is it allows you to enter text to show up basically on top in the center of your screen, and this helps the students to stay oriented to what's on the screen in front of them. And I do think that again, it's very important to consider that none of these things, aside from this last one here, they're all things that you do have to double check, and that you do have to check for accuracy and usability. So
yeah, that's really interesting because I know, like, for me, when I'm doing an assignment where it's like, okay, let's say pick an article for level 2, and I personally, I guess sometimes I overestimate what an average grade 2 class can do, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect, and I'll turn it in, and they're like, actually, this is probably more suited for like 10-year-olds, and I'm like, oh, well, so that's really convenient to be able to do that. And same with like the usability thing. I find myself saying, can I even use this? I'm not sure. How do I say
Right.
it? I don't, you know.
How do you double check this? Like, you know, right. So you don't want to have to think too much about it.
Right. So that's really cool. That's really useful.
I love the fact that you can have the option to see if the information is like copyrighted, like where it only gives the results mostly for stuff that you can already use again, which is I think is a really great tool also. And just like Jordan was saying too, the websites that you can see the grade level. That's a lot of my assignments last semester. I was underestimating the ability of a student, and I would end up going above grade level. So that tool would have been very useful for me, I think, if I knew about it last semester.
Yeah, I thought that the crafty writes that portion of it was really awesome because I know that there's been so many times, even like just me doing, if I'm doing like a research project or something like that, where I'm just like, I really feel like I might be like plagiarizing or something like that, and just the fact that that offers you that is awesome because that's always like they always like stress that too, so I feel like that is
It's
definitely very helpful.
it's always a big deal, and like I didn't even think about it as far as the students. I mean, you know, making it adding this extension for student use, it allows you to not have to monitor them so closely every little thing they're doing. Not that you're still gonna check, but you know, it gives them a little more freedom because they have to stay within these, you know, boundaries.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to go over a couple of tools. The first one that I'm going to talk about is called Formule. And let me share my screen with you guys. Can everybody see that? The login for Formule?
Yeah.
Okay, so Formule is basically a site where you can go to make any kind of form that you can think of. So you do need your to sign up, but it's completely free. Well, there's options to upgrade to that you would pay for, but there is a free way to do it. So go ahead and log in. So when you log in, it kind of just jumps right in. You don't see that. This is a form I was working on. But if to start working on it, you can go to forms at this page. And this is probably what you'll see. And you can make a folder to organize, like, okay, a filter to, like, figure out what category your form is going to fall into. You put it in the folder, add new folder, if that makes sense. And I started working on a form to show you guys. No, I want to click it. Edit, there we go. So, oh, it didn't save. Well, okay. Well, I was working on a form and it was called, like, I was doing like a reading questionnaire. And basically, to start working on the form, you go to this, on the right side it says add a field. And there are standard fields, common fields, survey fields, and advanced fields. I started with, let me get rid of this so it makes more sense. Okay, so I started with common fields, and I said the first thing you need on a form is probably the name. So you click that, and you see right here the name pops up. You click it, and you can change the field label. So I said, okay, maybe if this is a form for parents, you can put child's name, if the parent's filling it out, and it changes right there. So that's the first thing I did. Then something else you can do for the actual body of the form, there's single text field where you can go ahead, click this, and you can edit it to say whatever you need to say. Change the field label. Like I typed in like, okay, what is your favorite book? And it shows up right there, and you don't actually work in the text box. It's the form, so whoever you're handing it out to will work in the text box. And you can change the font size, the font, the size, the characters. It's a lot of like ways to edit it. You can also add like a multiple choice type of option. So here you type in what you want, the title, however, maybe how often do you read, right? And it'll show up there, and then you can change the options. So let's say always and maybe never. And it shows up right there for them to fill out. You can do, see, it also has a way for you to like organize your forms. Like if there's a section break in the middle of the form or a page break, you could do it that way too. And it says next page. Under survey fields, you can put in like star rating. It's a lot of things you can do with it. I basically just looked at the basics to figure out just like simply how to make a form. You also can make reports, which is similar, just anything you could think of that you would need in your class. Pretty much the same idea. It looks a little different. But yeah, anything you would need. Maybe it's an allergy list or field trip form, the questionnaire. So yeah, it also has when you make your account, and you save your forms, you can share it to other users. So you can use other people's forms, and you can have people fill them out online or print them out. And you can also upgrade. The way it works is you're allotted like 10 forms for I think like a week, 2 weeks. You're allotted to make like 10 forms, 5 reports, stuff like that. And it renews it after 2 weeks. It renew itself, and you can make more forms. Or you can upgrade so that you can have, I think it goes up to unlimited amount of forms that you can make. One thing I would say about this site, it's really helpful because you can make your own form, whatever you need. But it wasn't, for me at least, it wasn't very intuitive. I was a little confused on how to use it. There wasn't like a tutorial. There's a help section, but it takes you here, and I don't really understand what this is helping me for. So that wasn't helpful. So I kind of had to figure it out, which is why I only kind of figured out the basics. To make it any more advanced, I really wasn't sure. But yep, that's Formule.
Did you, by any chance, see that when you're using that website, if you can edit someone else's form that they've already created?
I didn't see where you can actually see other people's forms. I think you have to specifically share it with somebody. Like there wasn't like a browse section that I noticed. So I think somebody actually who has an account would actually have to send you their report. And since I didn't do that, I'm not sure how you would even do that. So.
One other question with that website, when you were able to create the different categories of the form, is there any options to have anything pre-written that they just give you different questions, or is this something you just come up all with yourself?
I didn't see anything pre-written. I think you kind of have to have a view of what you want your form to look like, and it just gives you the tools to do that. It just had the plain basics, like it said name and it said multiple choice option 1 2 3, and you just edit it yourself. So it's very much you kind of have to do it yourself. It wasn't very it didn't really do the stuff for you. So.
Okay.
So you were not really that impressed with it then, or?
Well, I would say it's helpful more because if I had to make a form, I guess I wouldn't really know how to go about it besides starting a Word document. So as far as template, as far as I guess having those tools there, that's really cool. I just think it's not intuitive. I would like probably like I would have liked a tutorial or a video showing me exactly how I can really utilize the tool to the best of its ability, and I didn't really get that. So yeah. Okay, so the next thing I did was UDL Cast UDL Exchange. And this site is pretty amazing. That UDL stands for Universal Design Learning, and it's kind of this like proactive plan for teachers to more effectively teach their students using technology, and it's really helpful for teachers who are trying to update their methods so that they're really catering to every learner in their classroom, which, you know, is a very difficult thing to do. Okay, so getting started, you need to sign in, and they have three like parts to the website. You have resources that you can like browse and like say if there's a website you want to save for a lesson, you can save it in your resources. Excuse me. And you have a lesson builder, which I'll show you in a second, and then collections like that goes like you can put your lessons and resources together in a collection. So on the side you have like it says community, you have like articles and like on like UDL related topics, announcements, feature. This is like looking at somebody else's lessons that they build or collections. And some of them are actually made by the people who created the site, so it's really helpful to see how they use it. Okay, so getting started, I'm going to hit Browse, and here's where you can look at a whole collection of different people's lessons plans that they've made. You can go to the side and search for something specific, or if you know like who made it, you can search for the author, and that has a content area if you're looking for a specific subject, and it also has grade. It goes from pre-K to higher ed, so that's really cool. And you can also filter it by Common Core standards or media, so if it's a web page document, images or audios included, or by purpose like classroom instruction or small group. So this is really handy if you're just looking for ideas or you need something quick for your class and you're just like, let me find something through here. Now, if you want to actually build your own lesson plan, you do that here. And I'm going to show you one that I built. So I'm in the Created by Me tab. So I have one lesson built with 2 resources with it. So I'll click this. It's called Current Events. And when you click Build, it takes you to this page where you completely get to edit and make your own lesson. So start out, you can put the title of your lesson here, and then it goes into, clearly won't have all, this is what I've written down, but it has about this lesson, it has description, prereqs, and estimated time, and you go and you hit edit, and you can type in, it gives you like directions of what exactly should go in each box, which I found really helpful because you know, you might have this great idea for a lesson, but then when you have to go make a lesson plan, there's so many things that you have to think about that you might not originally think about, and this site gives you like very clear instructions of what should go into each part. So it says, okay, description, briefly describe the lesson topic, what students will be doing this lesson and why, and you can hit this little information tab, and it gives you tips, and this one says a good lesson description includes what the lesson is about, student activities, and how the lesson relates to a larger unit or class theme. And it does that for like all of them, and you hit save, and that'll be there. It goes into potential use. Something I thought was really cool, in this one is that if you go to Common Core Standards and you say View Select Standards, it'll take you here, and you can choose which standards you're trying to look at. So it's the English language arts. Mine went into reading informational text, and it has all the standards listed for you, so you can check off what this whatever lesson plan you're building, what standards specifically it will go over, which I thought was really helpful because sometimes I'll think of a lesson and I'm like, I'm not even sure what standards they cover, and this way it has it all right here for you ready. Save, so you save that. Then you have your goals, assessment. Something else that's really cool about this lesson builder is that it gives you like sentence starters. Oh, this is the wrong one. Sorry, this one. It'll give you sentence starters, or ready objectives. Like if you can't think of like how to start saying what you need to say, which was really cool. And it has on the side this UDL support, and it gives you things you should think about when you're making like your goals, like have a clear focus and endpoint that learners can articulate in their own words. Then they even have examples to help you figure out what's a good goal, and then a dig deeper where it'll send you to modules and helpful information that they have on, what exactly is universal design learning and how you can use it. So let's see what else. You have instruction methods. Also, while you're working on it, there might be an option where it says author's reflection, where you can either write or record your reflection, which is really, I thought was really cool, because it'll say, like this one says, how do these assessments accurately measure all students' understanding, skills, and engagement? How are the assessments designed to address the variability of learners as they progress through this lesson? So while I was making this, I realized I typed in my information and came down to author's reflection, and I realized that, well, maybe this actually isn't the best way to assess that the students are learning. So it got me to stop and think and make sure like I'm actually using good methods, and then you can write and reflect, how your assessments or whichever thing you're talking about is actually effective. So, that's not good. So yeah, so it really was really cool and really helpful. I tagged some like websites to go in my resources that saves with the lesson. And if you go to feature guide, it'll give you instructions on how to use this site and how to just navigate through their website, which is really helpful. They have videos. It's very, very helpful. It was very easy to use, and it even reads out the site to
Start
you.
of main content. UDL
if you need
exchange
it.
feature guide.
Yeah, so it's a really cool site. I really liked using it, and I think it's really helpful for teachers to really make sure that they're making effective lesson plans.
I know that when we had to use that the other day, I was like, oh, this is awesome, because it's essentially just like how the other website, the Formule and the Rubistar, it's just like a template for a lesson plan, so it's like you're not forgetting anything. It's really in depth. I mean, it is a longer version, I feel like, of a lesson plan because it has so many parts to it, but it is an in-depth lesson, and you can make sure that you're not forgetting anything. It's all right there for you, so I think that's very helpful.
I was going to say, you're not going to forget anything. I mean, it's so in depth, and I found it to be very easy to use and in depth, which I think is a hard combination to have. So I actually really like that too when we had to use it.
I agree.
I love the fact that it also has all those tips and hints that you can use, because sometimes I don't necessarily know what information I should put, and when it has that little like information tab, it gives you the information and the examples, which I think is a great resource, definitely, especially for new teachers too.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, guys. I think that was everything.
All right.
Well,
Let me
I guess
stop.
we're signing off.